British media today are laser focused on an attack that was carried out against a synagogue where Jewish people pray. And we should absolutely be against any harm coming to civilians, mosques, churches, synagogues included, places of worship, other places of worship too. But here's something Prime Minister of the UK, Keir Starmer, has not addressed. The protests by the British citizenry on the streets of London and Birmingham and Manchester and Leeds and Southampton and Cardiff and Glasgow and Edinburgh. Hundreds, in many cases, thousands and tens of thousands of people have come out or are planning to come out very soon on scheduled days upcoming in the next couple of weeks, demanding the British government take action to stop the crisis ongoing in Gaza and demanding forcing Israel's hand. Now, can the UK actually end the war if it wanted? No, absolutely not. This is the UK, not the US. We're not important enough anymore. This is not the Victorian era. This is not the age of the British Empire. The sun has finally set on that. And even Google searches these days, you type in UK and it auto-fills the rest of your search query to Ukraine. Sorry, bruv. Tis what is. But the protests are not restricted to the UK. Check social media and you'll see protests in Italy, specifically in Rome, Milan, Naples, and Turin. Protests in Colombia, protests in Mexico and other parts of Latin America, protests scheduled for half a dozen European countries over the next couple of weeks, Spain, France, Germany, Belgium, citizens across the world. And especially in terms of visibility, citizens across the Western world, with its democracy afforded additional civil liberties, right? People are supposed to be able to come out into the streets and ask for things, demand things of their government here. By and large, they still can. And people are. Why were humanitarian ships barred access to a crisis zone when they're trying to bring food to people who don't have food, right? And they don't have food because of a blockade. Why were European governments not there to oppose the interception of boats with their countrymen, their citizens on board? What happened? What happened? Is it like the Qatar situation? It's like when the US saw the missiles were Israeli, like zoomed in on the missiles. It's like, oh, it's Israeli missiles. Yeah, come through. VIP access, right? Recognize Palestine and then call it a day. Is that what passes for justice these days? European citizens, so that was a song reference, even though I don't listen to music. I heard it somewhere. European citizens have said, no, that's not enough for us, just for you to recognize Palestine and then think we're not going to care. That's a bone that you've thrown us. It's not enough. Analytically speaking, the citizenry in these countries are just not satisfied with just this. And they've said, no, screw you. We're going to keep coming out and demanding stuff. And they've said screw you in 20 different languages, roughly. The Sumud Flotilla did something unprecedented. National governments are condemning Israel for the interception, right? Not all governments, but many. Citizens across the world are expressing their outrage, and more people, some for the first time, because of the boosted publicity, some for the first time are hearing about what these men and women on these boats were trying to do. And they ask, wait, what do you mean they're bringing baby formula into Gaza? What do you mean they're trying to bring baby formula in? Why would baby formula not be in Gaza in sufficient quantities? Well, you're telling me at the border Israel stops baby formula? No way. Look it up. Yeah. They're like, wait, what? Why would you need to bring in painkillers into Gaza? Are they really impoverished and that's why they don't have painkillers? No, turns out there's painkillers at the border just waiting to be let in. They're just not let in. Wait, how do women give birth in Gaza? Without painkillers? No way. Let me fact check that. Yes. And more people are like, what the flip is going on in Gaza? Though people who didn't care before, they're like, whoa, that sucks. I'm a family man or I'm a mother. And they say, I can't have that. I can't be supporting that. I can't be not speaking out against that, especially when my government has the capacity to do something and it's not doing it. Loads of European countries are like that, in that situation, right? And the Sumud Flotilla brought that spotlight back onto Gaza and what's going on there. Even if they couldn't get the food in this time, they managed to get attention on Gaza. And the Sumud did something else too. For the first time in over 10 decades, that's 100 years, sorry. For the first time in a decade, that's 10 years, a ship got through the blockade. I would be very surprised if this image I'm about to share, hopefully, did not make its way into the history books of the Mikeno, with its Turkish captain that managed to use evasive tactics to get through the Israeli cordon, the blockade, into Gazan territorial waters. This ship got within 12 miles of the coast. I said 70 yesterday for the other ships. 12 this one. This has never happened, not once, since Israel imposed a naval blockade on Gaza over 10 years ago. A humanitarian ship with supplies for the civilians who are being blockaded, getting within 12 miles, nautical miles of the coast. Historic. Western legacy media, aligned with the states, would have people focus on what they want people to focus on. What celebrity is singing what song. In America, they're busy trying to get people to look away from the Epstein files and fight each other based on what party they support. They have a mass shooter every I was gonna say every Wednesday, but no, they have a mass shooter every more frequently than every week, and they quickly try to jump on, oh, was he a Republican, was he a Democrat, so that each side can start lobbing, I don't know, water balloons at each other. That's what they're trying to get the people focused on. And in the UK, the protests are almost not covered at all. On the BBC homepage, I checked just before recording this video. The main headline is the synagogue attack. There's 4 articles straight after, also about the synagogue. The guy was running around with a knife, and we knew him. Some Jewish worshippers stopped him from getting in. All kinds, detailed articles. Okay, good. Do cover that. Do report on that. That's what journalism is, and this is a very important thing for many people. But nowhere in the next almost 10 plus articles is there a single piece on the people out in the streets, the protests happening and the protests upcoming. Nothing. Not a single article I could see on the demands of the British people as it relates to the Israeli attack on the Sumud Flotilla, or in relation to Britain's role in supporting Israel in its crimes in Gaza. Nothing. The closest I could find was they said Greta Thunberg was on the Sumud Flotilla, and they did a piece on that. What about the protests in this country? You're okay, fine, you're UK news. Maybe you don't want to be talking about foreign stuff. Okay, protests are happening now here. Talk about that. No. The legacy media will, by and large, try to keep the people spinning as fast as possible for as long as possible. Bruv, it's like the CERN, right? The particle accelerator. Just keep spinning, right? Until you achieve fusion or something. I don't know what they're trying. They looked at the whirling dervishes and said, I can do better. But we can do better with our reporting unbiased and without the Western spin. I'm Mahfouz on NewsBaba, and I'll see you on the next one.